The true story is, it was 1996. I was a lawyer, and I was in a case that I absolutely hated. And I did something I never do. I took a day off of work at the law firm.
Yeah.
And I knew that he lived in Santa Rosa, which is an hour north of where I lived in San Francisco. And my wife, Stacy, was from Santa Rosa originally. So she knew where Sparky, Charles Schultz's ice arena was. And she knew she could guide me there in the whole bit. And I knew from a little article in a street paper, Street Weekly, that Charles Schultz ate English muffin every day at this cafe at a certain time.
With same table, his coffee.
So like a stalker.
You stalked him.
I stalked him, and I got in my car.
Sparky is what
and I drove north an hour, the 60 miles. I found the ice arena. It's just filled with skaters, and there's a little cafe attached to it. And there was no one in that cafe but me. And so I started thinking to myself, this is so stupid. The article could have been wrong. He could have been on vacation. I mean, he's not going to be here. So I wait a whole hour by myself. And I'm not eating, so it looks particularly strange. And then all of a sudden, on the far end of the cafe, like a dream, I'll never forget this. This man walks in with this shock of white hair. And it's him. And I don't know who the idol is in your life, but whoever that person is, Bob Dylan, the president, whatever, Brando, that was all of them mixed in one person for me. There's nobody on this planet I wanted to meet more than Charles Schultz. So he walks in, and I was almost shaking. I probably was trembling a little. And he ordered his English muffin. And I politely waited for him to finish his English muffin. And then, and by the way, I look really strange, because there's only 2 people in the cafe. I'm not eating anything. And I'm trying very hard not to stare. And so I wait till he's done, and I walk up to him, and I kneel at the side of his table. And in the worst opening line in the history of opening lines, I say, "Hi, Mr. Schultz. My name is Stephan Pastis, and I'm an attorney." His face,
you're being served, right?
Yeah, his face turns white. He thought he was being served with a subpoena. So then I quickly said, "Oh, but I draw." And the minute I said, "I draw," he said, "Then have a seat." And he cleared the San Francisco Chronicle off the seat next to him. And I sat down, and he talked to me for an hour. And I was a nobody. This is before syndication, before all of that. So that was my first meeting with him. So I technically launched in only one newspaper, the Washington Post, with a series of 6 dailies that only you guys saw.
This is one of the 3. I'll let you narrate. These are the strips that no one.
Yeah, I don't know if they're good, but Pig says, "What are you watching?" And Rat says, "The bullfighting channel, nothing but bullfighting 24 hours a day." And Pig says, "That's a lot of bull." And Pig says, "You never know what's going to set that guy off." Oh man, this is so old. It's so embarrassing. Look how different the characters are.
Has your style changed at all?
Oh my God, dramatically. I often get asked, you know how I make fun of other strips? Does anybody ever get offended? And the answer is yes. And the answer is Cathy Guyswhite. And this is really my fault. I had a little character named Dickie the Cockroach. And if you talked too much and you had nothing to say of importance, he kind of plucked your head off your body and he shoved the head in the closet, and you couldn't talk anymore and everything was good. So one day he does that with the comic strip character, Cathy. Takes her head off, puts it in the closet. That's not the mean part. The mean part is I then commented in the strip that Cathy, because she can no longer talk in her strip, made Cathy a funnier comic. Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, okay.
Wow.
So, I know, hang on. So a year later, fast forward another year, I do a strip where Cathy Guyswhite, the person, not the character, is playing a naked twister with other cartoonists. I put my lawyer hat on, and I realized that because this is the person, possibly a different legal standard applies. So I got her telephone number from my syndicate. I had never spoken to her before. So I called her, and this is how the conversation went. I said, "Hi, Miss Guyswhite. My name is Stephan Pastis, and I do the comic strip Pearls Before Swine." And I swear to you, there were 3 seconds of complete silence, followed by, "I know who you are." So then I had to say, "Oh, well, let me tell you why I'm calling. I drew a strip where you're playing naked twister." And she said, the character. And I said, no, you. And she said, well, you're not running that. And I said, oh, I was going to run it. And she said, no, you're not going to run that. And I said, oh, you're telling me. And she said, yeah, you're not going to run that. And I said, wow. I had never been told no. I never asked before. For you guys that might not know, I'll tell you because you know if you do a comic strip, every group in the United States, and I mean every group, is represented by someone. And when you do a strip, they write to you. So if you want a list, I keep a list of the most humorless people in the world. Number 1, Radical Turks.
Okay. Yeah. You can't go to Turkey, right?
I cannot go to Turkey.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that later.
Okay.
Number 2, cyclists. Holy smokes. Number 3, lovers of polka. When I make fun of polka, yeah, I get the greatest letters from the International Society of Polka something.
Yeah, sure.
They threaten to sue. It's wonderful.
Yeah. I asked you about Timmy Failure. How do you write so successfully to kids, and what is it about you? And you said, yeah, you're writing to your child self and your...
I write the same way everything I ever do. I write to make me laugh.
Yeah.
And the only thing I changed with that kid's book is they told me, where's Tracy? Are you here? She's my publicist. There you are, Tracy. No beer. No cigarettes. No swearing.
Okay.
And then I just took those out, and I did the same thing I did.
All those were in there.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, yeah. So, I mean, you know, I get away with death references that I wouldn't think I could get away with, and they let me just do my thing. And you know what the irony is? It really resonated with kids.
Oh, yeah.
Kids are way beyond where you think they are.
Yeah.
If you write to a kid, writing to a kid, you'll write down to a kid, and they will pick that up. And if you write to entertain, you know, yourself, and I'm 46, apparently what comes out is entertaining to an 11-year-old.
I think you once said to me, like blaring music, it turns off part of your brain.
Yeah, I have a theory about this. Yeah. I'm killing the left half of my brain. You know,
not permanently.
No, but maybe you know the logical section that wants to make you think things through. I don't want to think things through.
Yeah.
So I turn that music on, and that half can't focus. Yeah. And so I work on the instinctive side.
Yeah.
And I know that if I have to write an email in something businesslike, without thinking, the music goes off. I can't concentrate. Yet every Pearl strip you have ever seen in all 3 of those books was written to blaring loud rock music.
Yeah.
It's the only way I know how to do it.
Yeah.
Again, I'm really weird. You want to know how weird I am? I can't have anything white anywhere in the room. A piece of paper on the desk. Oh, here's what drives me crazy. The Kleenex box. You know how the Kleenex sticks out above the top?
Yeah.
Nothing gets written until that gets tucked in. Newt Gingrich wrote. I don't have many contacts with politicians, but through his assistant wrote and said she didn't see the Friday strip.
Yeah.
She saw when he first appeared, when he was living. And she said, Newt loves the strip.
Wow.
Could he get one of them? And I said, sure. And then she saw the Friday strip, and she said, Newt wants to know why he dies. We want to become a cartoonist. Boy, that has changed. Years ago, I would have told you to try to get syndicated. But now they sometimes don't even launch comic strips anymore. So the way to do it now is you put your stuff online and you see if it can build an audience. That can be a hard slog, but it is an advantage over what I had in the early going. You get immediate feedback. If you do something good, that can shoot around the world in a day. You'll know. I mean, that audience is there. There's no more guesswork. So that's what I would do if I was trying now. It's hard, but it's easier than syndication. All I do is I take an animal and I think, what do you think of that animal? And when you think of a little kitty, what do you think? You think cute, huggable, harmless. So I make him an evil killer. That's all I do. I'm convinced that humor is incongruity. You put 2 things together that don't normally go together. That's all it is. If I can't find an incongruity in a strip, it's probably not a very good strip. Like people always ask me, how do you write? And I always say, study Dober. That 3-panel rhythm that Scott has, I just copied. I purely copied. I learned everything I could from that Dober. It looks like I'm going to be allowed to co-write the screenplay for the Timmy movie. So there may be a
Nice.
Timmy movie. So
Nice.
yeah, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah.
And somewhere you have a Pearl script. We talked a few years back about a Pearl, so Larry the
do.
Croc. And
Yeah, I've gone around the bend twice on making a Pearls movie. So
Okay.
once they give me the control I want, I'll do it.